Representative McElroy, you're recognized for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've been on both sides of this. I'm a farmer now. I was farming quite a few acres, and now I rent it out. And then I was county judge for 20 years. And you know, I've got a 4-month-old grandson, and I know how important it is to protect the environment. We all do that. But in 1960, there were over 2,000 farmers in Shake County. Now there's less than 100. You talk about endangered species. And the more regulation we put on them, some of them are just hanging on by the skin of their teeth now. The more regulation you put on them, the worse it gets. But on the other side, building roads and bridges, I've been involved with trying to build a big river bridge, Great River Bridge across the river. When we started 20-something years ago, it was something like $400 million. It took 6 years for environmental studies, and we spent almost $200 million. It was ridiculous. I forget the figures, but it was just, we could have almost built the bridge. But with the regulation we have today, this freeway system we have today would not exist. And you're tying the hands of the people that are trying to keep up your infrastructure. Because locally, when people call and say there's a bridge out, we have regulations now that we have to tend to, but it could be out as high as 6 months. But if you have to have an environmental study on how it affects the mussel, but even though a mussel might have not been found there, we got to look. It could be years before we could, and every month that increases the cost of that bridge, and then you have to pay for those studies. But what I'm saying is, you know, we all want to protect the environment at what cost. Our farmers are feeding this nation and feeding the whole world now. They're dependent on us. I think we need to take a common sense approach, but most of all, I want to ask this question. I'm getting to the question. Has there any cost been associated with taking land out of production? Because if it's in this, if it's in this habitat, they say, okay, this is critical habitat for this mussel, then this $5,000 an acre farm around gets taken out and said, well, you can't do that because you might. Then all that production that we're making, that cost should be figured into what it really costs the taxpayer and the people of the United States. And anyone y'all want to answer that?
I might give you one example, real easy one. It's the spotted owl out west. The listing of the spotted owl per se didn't cause all the problems. The real problems came in with the designation of millions of acres of critical habitat, and it took that out of production. And the cost of that was, the numbers I've seen are some 56,000 jobs, timber directly related and indirectly related to the timber industry. I mean, and it's indisputable. So, I mean, that's one. I think President Gates probably got some others.
Well, you know, the figures I gave a while ago, that this is affecting, had me in the state of Arkansas. And that's a pretty big significant figure there. About 20% of the jobs in Arkansas are directly related to agriculture. You know what I'm talking about. So when we start to diminish the productivity of agriculture, then we're going to affect the economy of the state. Out in California, there was California tiger salamander out there, the endangered species. The critical habitat is monumentally smaller than what we're dealing with in the state of Arkansas right now with these issues, especially the rabbitsfood. And they wanted to change their agriculture practice from to a vineyard, from strawberries to a vineyard, and they were sued. And that they're in the 3rd year or so of that lawsuit, they're still in that lawsuit, absolutely right. There's no way they can survive. All they were doing was trying to change their operation to something that's more productive than what they want to do.
You know, it's happened here in Arkansas with the woodpecker. There were several thousand acres. I talked to the county judge over there after that. That was designated that you couldn't go in there. And so far they hadn't found the woodpeckers, so I don't think they helped them a whole lot.
look at the irrigation project, it was stopped because of that. Now, and this critical habitat falls in that same area. We're gonna have large irrigation projects that we've been working on for years that actually are better for our environment because we're taking surface water and not groundwater out to continue our production of whites and other products, other agricultural products. So, and this could very much adversely affect those irrigation projects.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.